What if we stop thinking about midlife as a crisis, but a doorway leading to a new way of living? Not a season for shrinking, but a plan for transformation and reinvention you finally have the wisdom to execute. Today, we'll talk about the real cost of second guessing and waiting for that mythical state of readiness, and why choosing messy action over perfection is the decision that changes everything. And I'll show you how to turn this new way of thinking about midlife into your lived reality inside the Reinvention Code. Doors are open now. Welcome to How to Lose the Weight, the podcast for women ready to stop waiting for someday and live life now. I'm your host, Holly Toscanini, and I'm here to help you break free from perfectionism, self-doubt, and the someday mindset. Together, we'll dive into real conversations about self-trust, empowerment, and living authentically. If you're ready to reconnect with your intuition and step into your power, you're in the right place. Let's lose the weight and start living fully right now. Welcome to How to Lose the Weight. I'm Holly Toscanini, and this show is where we trade the weight of other people's expectations for the courage to live from our own inner wisdom. If you've ever said, I'll do it when I'm ready, this episode was made for you. We're going to reframe midlife as the most creative, courageous chapter, name the hidden costs of shrinking and second guessing, and practice choosing reinvention over perfection. And then I'll invite you into coaching with me, because a new way of thinking is only powerful if you actually take action. So let's start with a reframe. Most of us were never offered. Midlife isn't a slow fade. It's a power phase. It's the moment where your experience, perspective, and priorities finally all come together. Earlier in life, the blueprint you followed may have been drafted by family, employers, culture, maybe even media, and definitely by the good girl script so many of us follow. But now, for the first time, you have enough evidence about who you are and what matters to you to design something truer. Why does our creativity really ramp up now? Because creativity thrives on raw material, on lived stories, near misses, recoveries, and the ability to connect dots across decades. And you have that. You've navigated careers, relationships, caregiving, health changes, and identity pivots. You've learned how you operate under stress and who you become after you rise. And that wisdom is a creative resource people in their 20s simply don't possess yet. Our courage grows for the same reason. You've survived enough to trust that discomfort won't break you. You've also seen the bill for self-abandonment, and it's too expensive to keep paying. So the question isn't, do I have what it takes? The real question is, will I spend my energy on reinvention instead of maintenance? So here's a quick exercise. Picture a timeline of your life and mark 3 moments where you acted before you felt 100% ready, when you said yes with shaky hands. What did those choices give you? You'll likely start to see a pattern. Fear came along and you moved anyway. Confidence arrives after you take action, after you do the thing. And this is your proof file. Keep it. You're going to need it when perfection starts whispering again. And we have to talk about the cost, because the act of shrinking always sends a bill. Shrinking looks like dimming your ideas in meetings because you don't want to sound too much. It looks like softening your opinions at the dinner table to keep the peace. It looks like passing on opportunities because your body doesn't match the marketing images in your head. Shrinking isolates you from your own life. You become a spectator to your days. And second guessing is the mental tax. It's the loop of, what if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm not ready? You rehearse disaster instead of rehearsing your message, and it's expensive. It steals hours you could be spent making something you're proud of. And then there's the waiting. Waiting for the numbers on the scale to bless you, waiting for a calendar without chaos, waiting for a magical surge of certainty. Waiting is sneaky because it cosplays as responsibility. It sounds wise by saying, I'm just being realistic. But if we're honest, a lot of waiting is just fear in a really conservative outfit. And the longer you wait, the heavier that story becomes, until it becomes the belief that it's just too late. Ask yourself, What has hesitating already cost me? I mean, what memories didn't happen? Which skills did you never develop because you stayed at the starting line? What relationships stayed shallow because you avoided honest conversations? And when you add up the cost, reinvention stops feeling reckless and starts feeling responsible. And here's another truth: the people who love you benefit when you expand. When you stop shrinking, you model what integrity looks like. Your kids get a living masterclass in boundaries and courage, and your friends get permission to tell the truth about their own desires. Expansion isn't selfish, it ripples through the lives of everybody around you. See, perfectionism is an invisible cage. It promises safety, but really delivers paralysis. It says if you cannot guarantee success, don't try. It confuses worthiness with flawlessness and keeps your life stuck at the concept stage. Expansion is different. See, reinvention says begin small, begin messy, but begin now. Reinvention chooses direction over certainty and progress over polish. So let's make this tangible. Perfection asks for a 10-point plan, a new wardrobe, 3 certifications, and a personality transplant before you're allowed to start. Reinvention asks for the smallest honest move available today. Email the person you need to email. Block 2 hours on a Friday to really explore your idea. Wear the dress that shows your arms to the event you're attending tonight. Tell the truth once, kindly, and completely. Reinvention is a practice, not a performance, and you're not always going to nail it, and that's okay. The metric isn't, did I impress everybody? The metric is, did I move in the direction of what matters? And if the answer is yes, you're winning. So try out this sort of weekly rhythm. 1 tiny action, 1 medium action, and 1 bold action. In another episode, I referred to these as yeses. A tiny action might be a boundary, like declining an invite with a simple, I can't this time, thanks. A medium action might be postponing your work or posting, not postponing, but posting your work or your ideas publicly. And a bold action might be applying for the role you always wanted instead of the role you know you're probably going to get. Over a month, that cadence rewires your identity, and you stop calling yourself indecisive and start recognizing your worth as a woman who acts. Now let's talk about a blueprint, your blueprint. The old plan had 4 pillars: be agreeable, stay small, chase approval, and measure your worth by productivity and appearance. And that plan produced exhaustion. So your new blueprint rests on very different principles. Principle number 1, courage over comfort. Comfort isn't bad, but when comfort becomes a lifestyle, your growth stalls. Courage doesn't mean fearlessness. It means you're willing to carry fear with you while you're moving. Principle number 2 is creativity over conformity. Because your life is not a franchise. Copy and paste choices produce copy and paste results. Creativity asks, what would feel like mine? Then it experiments on purpose. Principle 3, expansion over hesitation. This one is the keystone. When in doubt, choose a move that expands your world rather than a move that keeps it smaller. Expansion might be a conversation, a class, a collaboration, or a clean break. You'll feel it because your body exhales even as your pulse speeds up. And principle 4, self-trust over outsourcing. Advice can be helpful, but authority belongs to you. The blueprint isn't a script from somebody else. It's a structure that helps your own voice get louder than the noise. So how do you apply these principles? Well, you translate them into design specs for the next 90 days. What does courage look like in your calendar? What does creativity look like in your morning? What does reinvention look like in your relationships? And what does self-trust look like in your decision-making? Write those things down and then put them someplace you're going to see them every day where you're going to practically trip over them, because design is a daily act. So I want to tell you about one of my clients who gave me permission to share their arcs. One woman spent 2 decades playing small at work, the unofficial fixer who made everything run but never took the microphone. And her tiny act of reinvention was pitching a 5-minute update to the leadership team. Her medium act of reinvention was proposing a pilot she wanted to lead. And her next bold act of reinvention will be negotiating title, scope, and salary to reflect the reality she was already delivering. She didn't become a different person. She became a truer version of herself, and she's going to be compensated accordingly. And another client had a body image truce on paper, but not in practice. She kept postponing beach trips and photographs, quote, until I feel better, end quote. Her tiny action was buying the swimsuit she actually liked. Her medium action was going on the trip she'd canceled twice already. And her bold action was booking the family photos and actually being in them. Now, no, the photos didn't fix her life, but they did record a life she was finally living. Now, the common thread here, neither of these women waited until they felt different. They just acted, and then they felt different. Expansion produced the confidence perfection had promised and never delivered. See, blueprints are gorgeous, but blueprints alone won't do the work of building your new home. Coaching is where you translate a drawing into a structure you inhabit. Strategy, accountability, community, and loving pressure, the kind that holds you to your own standards, make all the difference between a plan on paper and a home you can actually live in. Now, inside the Reinvention Code, we work this blueprint step by step. We clarify what you're building. We name and retire the specs that were snuck in by culture. We scaffold weekly actions, and we measure momentum by alignment, not by internet applause. Now, you do this work with other women who have also decided to expand, which matters because courage is contagious, and you get coached in the moments your brain tries to drag you back to the familiar. That's how dreams stop being future tense and start becoming your normal life. Today is the day the blueprint meets the build. The doors to the Reinvention Code are officially open. And if you're done waiting for the bus called Ready, and if you want a trusted structure and a coaching container that turns ideas into lived experience, this is your invitation. Go to the link in my show notes. Enroll today. And if you're listening before September 8th at midnight, there's a special discount for you. So if you can join me in the Reinvention Code, I think you're going to have a really amazing experience because expansion begins the moment you decide to stop shrinking. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, Holly, but I don't really have time. Well, we can reframe that to you don't need more time. You just need a better design. 10 minutes of intentional action beats 2 hours of avoidance. Put reinvention on your calendar like you would a medical appointment and protect it with the same ferocity. Or maybe you're thinking, I don't want to disappoint anybody. Well, you're already disappointing somebody, usually yourself. Expansion doesn't require abandoning people. It requires telling the truth and letting adults have their feelings. Disappointment is survivable. Self-abandonment, well, it's corrosive. Maybe you're thinking, well, what if I try and I fail? Well, here's the thing. You will, sometimes. Failing at an aligned attempt is the tuition. It's not a verdict. It's cheaper than a lifetime of regret. Besides, perfection is simply failure delayed. Or maybe you're thinking, it's too late for me. Too late for what? Being alive in your actual life? Calendar is not a judge. If you're breathing, you're right on time to expand today. There's a couple of myths I want to dispel too. The myth that creativity belongs to the young. Because the truth is, creativity belongs to the curious, and curiosity is a choice you can make at any age. Your life experience gives you range, more metaphors, more patterns, more resilience when drafts flop. Or maybe you think if I were truly creative, I would never procrastinate. But the truth is, procrastination often protects perfection. When you switch to reinvention, you lower the bar to make a start, not to be perfect, and the work begins to meet you. Or maybe you're thinking, I've got to have a body that looks a certain way before I feel confident enough to just really show up. But the truth is, your voice does not live in your waistline. When you anchor in body neutrality, meeting your body as an ally in a home, you reclaim hours of attention for building the opportunities you actually want. So try this. For the next 7 days, replace one appearance-based thought with a creation-based action. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I can't go to the event until I lose 10 pounds, I want you to redirect to I will RSVP now and choose an outfit that feels like me. And then track how much life returns when you stop negotiating with your body and start partnering with it. Now, before we close, try this brief ritual. Sit with your feet on the floor, one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Inhale for a count of 4. Hold for 4. And exhale for 6. Now ask yourself, what's the smallest, honest reinvention I can choose today? Wait. The first simple answer is usually the right one. Speak it out loud. And then pair it with a micro commitment. When, where, and how long. Put it in your calendar while you're still in this calm, present state. This is how blueprint becomes days, and days become a different life. See, midlife isn't a crisis to be managed. It's a blueprint to be built. And the cost of shrinking and second guessing is just too high. And perfection isn't coming to save you. Reinvention is available today. Tiny, medium, or bold. Choose one action and move. And then keep moving. Your life won't change because you thought about it harder. It will change because you said yes again and again before you felt ready. If you want company, coaching, and a clean blueprint, I would be honored to build with you inside the Reinvention Code. The doors are open. Let's begin. Until next time, bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to How to Lose the Weight. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you found value in this episode, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It really helps the show reach more women like you who are ready to step into their power. For more insights and inspiration, follow me on Instagram at Holly Toscanini or visit hollytoscanini.com. Until next time, remember, stop waiting and start living.